morning.
Morning.
Morning. Today we are celebrating 30 years of Earthlife
Yes.
Environmental justice. 3 decades of activism.
Oh, Jesus.
And also today we are honored to be part of this milestone, this momentous celebration. We are also honored that this milestone is celebrated on Women's Day, a very important day to all of us. To all the women here, I say, phambili ngomzabalazo, phambili with the struggle, phambili with our strength, courage, tenacity, and activism. I just want to quote a beautiful quote made by one of the environmental leaders. It goes like this: if it does not look or sound right, it's my duty to make it right. It further goes and says, we are all in this together. That is by Makoma Ligalagala, who claimed the highest recognition, the Goldman Environmental Prize 2018. With that said, I'd like to welcome Makoma.
Before you today, on the occasion of the celebration of the 3 decades of environmental justice, activism by Earthlife Africa. This organization, it's a pioneering organization. It has pioneered earth rights and human rights in the country, and I think that went beyond the borders of South Africa. And as I'm standing here, I'm looking at Comrade Peter Luki, I'm looking at Comrade Chris Albertine, I'm looking at Judith Taylor, I'm looking at Bobby Peake, I'm looking at David Afik, Jackie Cock. There's a whole lot of them that are not present in this room today. But however, we'd like to give thanks to you. If it was not of you, of your bravery during the time of apartheid, taking environmental rights as one of the rights, the struggles against apartheid, I think we would not have been here today, and much of what has happened in the country, particularly when it comes to apartheid and apartheid racism, environmental racism, would have all been complicit of this, and so I salute all of you. Also, what I would like to say now is to just acknowledge people that are in the room. That was actually my duty, just to welcome all of you to this 3 decades of environmental justice activism. There's been many people who have been part of this movement, part of this organization, and some of them are alive, some of them have passed on. So I would like us to also observe a moment of silence for all those who made their lives for us. Amanda! Peter Luki, Mike Kenty, Chris Albertine, David Hallos, Robert Lewis, Rachel, and Fritz Strauss. I understand that, according to Wikipedia, that you were the pioneering founders of this organization. Then there may be many other more. You know, Wikipedia entries sometimes are not complete. But we salute you today, and we're saying we wish that we'll be with you when Earthlife celebrates its centenary.
Okay. Without any waste of time, I'll call upon the ELA board member chairperson, Ms. Dora Marema, who's going to give a key welcome address.
Being
called the board chairperson, the journey comes full circle. It's almost unbelievable. Because I was introduced to Earthlife when I started my first job straight from Limpopo, from university in 1996. We had a problem in my community with mining, and I happened to be working with some of the latecomers of Earthlife at the time, Greg Jacobs, Melinda Swift. I was introduced to Enisugru, I was introduced to Richard Webbington, I was introduced to Peter Luki, I was introduced to a whole host. If I start counting, I don't know where I will get. Because these people now have since become family to me. And through that, I was introduced to EJNF and Thabo Madihlaba, and I was able to try and make a small difference in my village, which was encroached at the time by granite mining. That's how I came into Earthlife, and it was very strange, but it was very exciting for me. That's where I was initiated. And I always quote the times where, you know, we couldn't carry anything with plastic. We questioned where Levi's was made. We questioned where Nike was made. You know, all sorts of things that shaped the perspectives and the way of work that I carry with myself until today. And I think I'm addressing the people that work with Earthlife, but very much the founders, to say that as the current board of Earthlife Africa, we are grateful for the journey that has been since the first decade until right now. They have to do the tough job of making sure that the organization continues to tick, that there is accounting back to the donors who are supporting us, and also I think largely thanks to the partners of Earthlife Africa. Without them, they wouldn't be able to make the work that they're doing. They've cited groundwork, Center for Environmental Rights, South Devon community, like all of these organizations that they take on to be able to continue working even though it is very tough.
With that said, we're going to break for 15 minutes for tea. This was just an intro. I know a lot has been said by Dora and Magoma, but more is still to come.
Spirit of women, very vibrant this morning. Colleagues, we're going to move on with our program without further ado. Today we're celebrating the 30th 3 decades of environmental justice activism of Earthlife Africa. Of course, I'm also one of the products of Earthlife Africa. I didn't come here for a salary, but I came here because of the concerns and the issues regarding environment in the community where I come from. I happen to be pushed to be in the environmental activities. I was pushed as an artist. I didn't know anything about the environment. I happened to attend a workshop in one of our community buildings. And as the person that was facilitating was talking, and I actually related exactly what I was doing together with the environment. We're going to be having keynote addresses. I would like to call all the speakers to come forward to occupy their seats. I'm going to call Chris Albertine to come forward. Simpewe Nojieza. Mama Shwabate Nogo. Chris Williams. I would like to call forward Peter Luke to come forward as well. We have in absentia, not sure if I'm missing her, Jackie Cork, who's currently not in, or is she here? Okay. Okay. For now, I will actually call all the speakers who are here just to give us short, just to give us some keynote addresses. I will start with Chris Albertine. Chris is a member of the Society Against Nuclear Energy, saying in Pietermaritzburg during 1980s, Chris, together with other activists, became founder members of Earthlife Africa. Currently, he works as an evaluation and strategy consultant with and for various societies, including donor organizations around the world. Simpiwe Lojieza is currently a senior academic at University of Zululand. He recently worked at UJ Department of Anthropology and Development Studies from 2014 to May 2018. As head of department and academic, he has 2 decades of environmental activism and currently serving as a board member of Earthlife Africa. Amanda. Mama Shoba Tenuko has been working in the development sector for over 22 years, almost 2 decades. She has worked for Sustainable Energy Climate Change Partnership Project of Earthlife Africa. She's currently a director of strategy at Curious Culture and founding director of Kubo Books. Amanda Obama. Jackie Cork, I will introduce her in absentia, was one of the first members of Earthlife Africa Johannesburg branch. She is very committed to environmental justice and has written Going Green, People, Politics and the Environment in South Africa, co-edited with Edith Koch and Nature, Power and Justice, The War Against Ourselves. Her latest book is Biograph of a River. Chris Williams is a long-time sustainable energy policy activist. He's currently Vermont organizer for Citizens Awareness Network. He currently serves as a board chair of the Nuclear Information and Research Service. Peter Luke is one of the founder members of the Earthlife Africa. He currently a top official at Department of Environmental Affairs. Amanda. Comrades, without wasting time, I would request that Chris Albertine to come forward to the podium and share with us all the good news that we want to hear about Earthlife Africa. Thank you.
Amanda, I have to do this. I mean, this is just such an emotional, joyous occasion. So my face leaks a little bit because I'm happy. Okay?
Yes.
Thank you for the invitation. Thank you, Makoma, and thank you all the wonderful people that are here. What I want to do really is just, from my side, I said, well, you, the Grumpy and Kulu, you must remember some things, but there's lots of us who have memories. I want to talk a little bit about the start from 1998 to around 96, because then after that my memory gets a bit difficult. So to add in a little bit of the stories, how things happened, what the context was then, but then also talk about the context then and the context now, and what issues are the same, and what issues are different, and what challenges are you facing. Or ask questions, not provide answers, because I think you are in that context now and you're working, and this is just wonderful to see what you're doing and that Earthlife is still here, and we're here to celebrate, because we need civil society now more than ever, and we have to build. About what does it mean for going forward in South Africa, and I had all the big players there. And at one break I went for a long walk in the hills, and I was walking in the middle of the hills, and then I bumped into somebody, and there was this older man than me, and we got talking, and we spent half an hour talking and walking, and it happened to be Ben Turok, who was the founder of the Institute for African Alternatives. He was one of the drafters of the Freedom Charter. He was just come back. He had landed in South Africa 3 days before, for the first time in many, many years. And he said, no, but this environment issue is really important. And we've got this guy, Mohammed Suleiman, he's from Sudan, and he's in our London office, and he's been writing books about environment. No, no, we must do this.
My mother was a kitchen girl. My father was a cutting board. That's why I'm an activist. I'm an activist. I'm an activist. Oh, my mother was a kitchen girl. My father was a cutting board.
Thank you very much. Ubaba Simpiwe Nojieza to come forward as well to unpack, and then after him, and then we can allow some time for comments. Thank you very much.
Earthlife, Pambili, Earthlife, Pambili, Siatata, Earthlife, Siatata. Thank you, comrades. Good morning. I'm very much privileged to reflect on the establishment of Earthlife and activism in the past 30 years. I was not around in all the 30 years of the existence of Earthlife, but I can safely say I joined Earthlife. I've been part of the campaigns some 20 odd years and above. But not exactly 30 years ago. What is important is that, as the name indicates, Earthlife Africa, it was not Earthlife South Africa. I recall in meetings of Earthlife, meeting students from WITS University who were founder members. I remember meeting members of Earthlife Johannesburg branch, which was different from the WITS branch. I remember meeting comrades from Earthlife Africa Cape Town, and they also had the University of Cape Town branch, which was different from Earthlife Africa Cape Town branch. I remember meeting comrades from the Stellenbosch branch, and there were also comrades from Grahamstown. I also met students, comrades from WITS University, who were students and activists who took on community issues. I also remember meeting comrades from East London. I think they also hosted a congress at some stage. I also remember meeting comrades from eThekwini, which was initially called Earthlife Africa Durban. And I also remember meeting students from both Durban Westville, campus of University of Natal, University of Westville, which was a university on its own, and I also remember meeting comrades from University of Natal, who were also not part of either Pietermaritzburg branch or even Durban branch. All of those there were quite a number of branches in KwaZulu-Natal as a province. I remember meeting comrades from Tshwane and Pretoria branch, and there were also students from Pretoria universities. I can't remember exactly whether it's Stax or University of Pretoria or UNISA, but there were quite a number of students who also came there.
So let me just share my story, how I got into Earthlife. I was part of EJNF. Our organization was called, I think, Young Women's Network. We're down in Khotso House, and we were involved in EJNF because I think back then Soweto had issues of asbestos, we had issues of mine dumps, we had
issues of waste dumps and all that. So those were the issues that we were really focused on as young people. And I can remember during the day I worked for the Freedom of Expression Institute as a trainer and a curriculum developer. And I think along one of the campaigns that we did, I met up with Muna Lakani because we were working on access to information. It was right at that time when it had just been enacted, and a lot of people were talking about how are we going to promulgate it, how are we going to make it practical. So we brought in Muna to help us say, for the environmentalists, this is how we're going to do it. So along the line, Muna said, I hear you saying you're bored. You know, we have a job at ECCP, you should apply. And I'm like, as what? And he says they're looking for a second facilitator. And I'm like, what is that? And he's like, you will be working with climate change. And back then I was like, what is climate change? So I can remember the day before, I think Muna then referred me to Richard Worthington. And so Richard was very kind. He didn't say, come for an interview. He said, come, let's have a chat. And we will take it from there. And the night before, because remember when you are young, you're quite enthusiastic and you have a lot of things and you think you are superhuman. So you don't think that you need to prepare in advance and think about various things. So only the night before do I start reading up about climate change and I'm like, what is that? So look, I was into environment. So I was very active in environment. But
I'm going to ask Comrade Peter to come forward to unpack for us.
Comrades, composts, the first thing I have to do is apologize. I'm not wearing my glasses. So all I can see is just lovely faces, but I really don't know who's here. But what I do know is I am completely humbled by this. And I've been honored by many of the speakers. Just by mentioning my name is an honor. But it really is the honor lies with you. I was part of the formation of the organization, but this is the organization. The voices from the ground, and this to me has been one of the biggest problems that and tragedies for me, is that in terms of the progressive forces, we've been getting very, very good at speaking to power and engaging around policy and what have you. And we've forgotten about the people. The Brexits and the Trumps of this world are a product of us forgetting about the people. Thinking that, for example, we're all going in the right direction. This belief that everybody believes the same thing as we do. It's simply not true. There's huge amounts of work that has to be done around real environmental justice. The victories that have been won have been astonishing victories, amazing victories. But there are still situations where environmental justice and infringement of people's rights is happening every single day. And government is often oblivious to it. People with privilege are oblivious to it. People are not affected by it are oblivious to it. Organizations like Earthlife are just fundamental in giving a voice to those people. And so I'm going to end here by once again saying that
I was here in South Africa this past September, and as you can see, I'm an old man, and I've been doing this for a long time. You run the best meetings I've ever been to. It's the singing. It just brings the energy over and over again. I'm honored to be with you today. You applied grassroots power through organizing, and you won. You were advocates in the houses of government, and you won. And you did the hard work of raising money and hiring lawyers and suing the hell out of them. Yes. And you won. Yes. Over all the decades of my work back home in the United States, one of the jobs I had was to go all over the country and meet with different organizations to see if we could help make them better and see what they needed or what they might be doing that wasn't helping. So I got a pretty good idea over quite a few years when I encounter an organization as to how that organization is doing. And as I said, I was here in September. I was here for 2 weeks. 2 weeks, and spoke all over the country and met activists all over the country. And one of the things I observed about this organization was when you win, it shows how important those people are to enabling everybody else at the grassroots to make it work and to produce results. So, now you have won, at least for now, the victory against nuclear power. Yes. Another thing I've learned, when you win, then you own it. Yes. And when you own it, you have to realize they haven't gone away. It hasn't gone away. Yes. They'll be back. Yes. And you have to be there to stop them. Yes. And you will. Yes. I know that you will. Yes. And another thing I know, it's Earthlife Africa, but I'll tell you this, it's Earthlife. There are activists from one end of this globe to the other, getting up every day and doing what we all do. Where they want to do this is right next to two of the most famous or infamous nuclear weapons laboratories in the United States. Places where they build and have built nuclear weapons. One's called Los Alamos and the other is called Sandia. And to put this waste that was used to boil water, that's all we did with it. We boiled water to make electricity. Next to our weapons facilities is an atrocity. And know full well that we're out there fighting it. And hopefully you'll see it on the news, that there will be civil disobedience, that there will be marches. Americans were told, don't buy grapes until those migrant workers who harvest those grapes have rights. And remarkably, many Americans listened. Grape sales went down, farm worker rights went up. And she said this when she visited our organizing class at the Midwest Academy. Every moment is an organizing opportunity. Every person is a potential activist. And every minute is a chance to change the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much, comrade.
Thank you very much. I'll be short. I was inspired, that's why I came here to say something. I was inspired by all the speakers who spoke this morning.
Now I want to comment on what I have learned, especially elements to readdress the imbalances as priority on environmental issues internally and externally.
And they always go to the poorest people so that they don't mind their lives, whether they die or live. So what did Mbeki say? I had a comment there, but I had a little bit, because I've got a problem with my right ear sometimes. So please quote that name, so when we come to a meeting, we'll tell them that Mbeki, as the second president of South Africa, he noted that Earthlife was there as a protector of the whole world, all the people in the country, because nuclear power is a danger. You can remember about Hiroshima, that was bad.
Mata. Nna ke rata go leboga di founders tsa Earthlife Africa. Ke lebogela tsela e ba e tsamaileng go tloga ka di 90s until kajeko. The ups and downs tse ba fitileng mo tsona. Ntho e ke batla go tseba fela ke gore ana di branches tsa Earthlife Africa just ka simply a tshilo gore ke tsa Africa se tsa South Africa di branches tseo santsane di le teng na because ra tseba gore ntho re ka informa kaofela but along the line ha tsela e kopogela batho ra fologa platform train ra e fologa so if ba santsane ba le teng I think Earthlife Africa gona jwanong e powerful. It can win each and every government moving thing, le rona self.
The Earthlife is still relevant at the moment, and all the branches which have actually collapsed can be resuscitated because Earthlife is a very strong organization that can actually take the environmental justice activism forward.
I want to ask a question of all the activists in the room. Now that we're going into another phase after 30 wonderful years, it's also 30 difficult years. In a recent meeting, in a fight at the National Energy Regulator, a debate about whether to build the Tawametsi power station in the Waterberg or not, our activists were asked, are you the majority opinion in your community? And I think this is the next question. How do we make environmental justice the majority opinion and the majority perspective? We know it is the most healthy, reasonable, compassionate way of thinking about nature and thinking about people. How do we make it the majority opinion? Thank you.
The question there is,
did that, or is there any instance where, for example, maybe that autonomy affected the operation of those branches?
I just want to comment. I think the way forward for Earthlife, but before I go there, to secure and to build a sound foundation for the protection of Mother Earth. We all need to stand together.
Taking my hat off. 30 years is a very long time. Gentlemen, and I salute you for being there. I salute you for paving the way for us. Today we're taking things easy because you are there before us. And thank you very much, guys, for showing us that it is possible.
I just want to respond to Victor's question and the question that came after that. And I think leaders in society and Earthlife is made up of leaders, and it still has leaders. And shamans in the past and Mujaji at the present, one of the things that those leaders are aware of, and there's a simple saying, is that the timing of a rain dance is very important to the realization of a positive outcome. And so you need to realize the moment. The leaders of these movements and people need to know when it is that we come to a fork in the road and to say, now is the time to mobilize, because if we don't go that way, we're going to go that way, and then we are seriously in trouble. You cannot mobilize communities and people all the time, every day.
The context under which we emphasize the autonomy of each of the branches is because as branches were operating in different conditions, different contexts. We're talking about, I mentioned in the beginning, the story of Earthlife Africa and Namibia. They operated in different conditions to South Africa, to all our branches in South Africa. The human rights culture that we enjoy may not be there in Namibia. Earthlife Africa, Uganda, in Kampala.
Working with partners, Gender CC, more emphasis should be put on policy formulation in relation to renewable energy. Lunch time, lunch is served. So
Okay, now we're coming to our next batch of speakers. I'm glad they are seated here already. They are all from the Ella branches. We have Ella Johannesburg, that is Judith Taylor. We have Cape Town, Mona Lakel, and we have Damon Alice Thompson. Can we give them a round of applause?
Greetings from Durban, from Zululand, KZN. How is everybody? So I'm very happy to be with you today to celebrate the 30-year anniversary. I joined Earthlife Africa maybe about 13 years ago when I met Muna Lakani. And I've been involved ever since. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about our current campaign, which is campaigning against oil exploration off our coast. and there are various different sections that have been sectioned off. This is one of them, where these big companies, ENI and Sasol, they've actually done what's called seismic testing, and now they want to do exploration drilling. We're also campaigning against this seismic testing, basically where they...
Thank you, Ella David, for the wonderful work that you are doing. It shows that...
Kingu volunteer for Earthlife. 26 years. I think it's 26 years. I've always considered myself a child of Earthlife Africa. And I see by now I've become a Kesha. I am one of the Madalas. Because when I was listening to my comrade speak earlier, it brought back many memories. So, before I forget, Simbiwe was talking about when Thabo Mbeki did that to us. What had happened to trigger Pumzile Mambuka?
The change from predominantly white and getting very tired old founders, they founded. And the energy and the input of these new communities, which has made it possible to restore the circle of life. The circle of life which includes air, water, land, and the people who live on it. The people who have been oppressed for so long and are still disadvantaged. 23 years into our new dispensation. It breaks my heart.